guys, good evening. Welcome to yet another episode of Tales to Testimony, and we are at our second last episode of Tales to Testimony. I never thought I would just say this so early, but this is not early, it's been more than a month and a half, and I've been so thrilled by the responses that I got from all of you. Thank you for staying glued and being here throughout all the episodes. And today we are on our second last episode, and we have a beautiful guest um, whose name is Pastor Robin William. He's a missionary, he's a pastor, he's an amazing worship leader, and he's one of the people who is very close to my heart, and he knows how to host people and God. That is the best thing about him, and I'm so excited for you to see him know.
Hi, Cha.
Hey Abdela,
How are you?
doing good. How are you doing?
Cha, why are you sounding like this?
Why am I sounding like this? I have my pastor's voice.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. How are you?
I am good, Cha. So I gave a little introduction about you, which I might have failed to do justice to. So I want to ask you, if you were to introduce yourself, how would you do that?
Wow. First of all, thanks for having me. All right.
You're welcome.
And yeah, I guess let's have fun today. All right. How would I introduce myself? I guess I love God and I know God loves me. And out of that place, I'm a husband, father, and many other titles, which I guess really don't matter at the end of the day. Yeah. Does that help?
That was, yes, it does. It was brief, it was sweet, and it was you, as usual. So if you're ready, we'll jump into the questions.
Wow, no break, huh? Directly. Come on, let's do it.
Let's do this, Cha. We'll do this together. Okay, the question number one would be, tell me about your childhood, little about where were you born, about your family, if you have siblings, and all of that.
Okay. I don't think a lot of you know. I was born in Bahrain. It's a country in Middle East. Yeah, it does exist. It's a small country in Middle East. So I was born in Bahrain. Um, I did my I did few years of schooling in India, and then I did my college and the rest of it in US. So that's kind of yeah. So and we're back to India now. So we've been all over the place. Yeah, I have a dad and a mom, amazing parents. I know they're listening right now, so amazing parents. And I have two siblings. Um, some of you might know Pastor Ray William. And we have one more brother that a lot of you don't know about. And he's a quiet one. And he's a doctor. His name is Ronnie. So, yeah, so it's three of us, three boys. We made sure, uh, you know, mom knew that we existed. So, three boys. Yeah.
Okay. So were you the elder one, the middle one, or the younger one?
Oh, Lord. Okay, I am the youngest one. For clarification, for the last time in history, I'm the youngest of the youngest. Yeah, so I'm the youngest one, and then it's Ronnie, and then Pastor Ray or Ray is the oldest.
Okay. So being the youngest one in the house, were you this pampered child, like you're the younger one, everybody treats you as a baby, and
Oh
always
no.
loved everything, you got everything easy because he's so little, he's our little brother or he's the little son of the house.
So I think this is how it went for our household at least. If you when we look back at our photo albums, it's like 1,000 pictures of Ray, and then 100 pictures of Ronnie, and then it just disappears. Something happened between the first and the third child. No, I was not pampered. At least I don't think I was. Yeah, so we all say that Ray was pampered the most, but well, that's our take. So you'll have to talk to him to figure out if that's true or not.
Okay, well, so there was no advantage of being the little one in the house.
No, definitely not. The only advantage was all the disadvantages of having to do all the chores and
Oh,
and getting all the beatings. I mean, holy
oh,
beatings.
oh.
Praise God.
So did Recha and Ronisa like ever hit you, or like they used to bully you because you were the little, or they was like no?
Oh yeah, we used to fight. Um, yeah, whenever we got together, which was yeah, we used to play cricket. We used to fight about cricket. We used to yeah fight about things. Boys, three
How can you
boys.
fight about cricket, sir?
Of course, it's a game.
Well, yeah, it's simple, no? You ball, you bat.
No, where's the fun in without fighting? So yeah, we were definitely three boys and a handful.
Hmm. Nice. So tell me about your school life. How was it? Were you a studious kid? Were you into all extracurricular activities and the charm of the school? How was your school life? Like, dig in deep.
Um, yeah, school. Some people have hobbies. Some people have things that they do when they're bored. School was one of that. Like that came last. I wouldn't say this to my kids now, but school was always in the back burner. Yeah, I was one of those that did enough to get pass marks, and yeah, move on to the next grade. So that was kind of me. Was I favorite? No, none of that stuff. Just usual. My 10th grade, there
Okay.
was only 15 of us, so there was nothing like it was a very small class. Um, and
Wow.
yeah,
It is fifth.
yeah, 1-5. Yeah.
So was it in Bahrain or in India?
So 10th grade was in India. Um, it was 15 because my dad had this brilliant idea that we should be amazing in our education. So he put us in ICSE school. He put us in the hardest school ever possible. And he's like, good luck. So yeah, that was it. So 10th grade, 11th grade was one of those few years that I was like, God, do something to get me out of this place. And he did answer it. So yeah, it worked out.
Nice. So moving on from school to college, how was your college life and your teenage years uh, look like? Were you like this confident rock and roll guy in college and in your teenage? Or did you had any like all those teenage issues, like any of it that ever came to you?
It's called teenage issues because we all go through it. Yeah, I did have a few of those. Um, I moved to US when I was in 11th grade, so that was kind of a big change for us. Just a new place. And then we were also, like how people say, let's go to America and wow, all the dreams are fulfilled. We didn't feel any of that, because it was brutal. The first couple years, especially, was really bad. So it was basically get up 6 in the morning, drop dad and mom to work, go to college, uh, go to work, then go to pick up dad and mom from work, come back home, eat dinner, sleep. So I don't know when I studied between all of this, but it was pretty much on the road, work, trying to survive, you know. living this amazing dream of, like, yeah, we are rich in US, like, but it was bad. So like through 2-3 years of college, it was like just a wash. And yeah, basically I was doing a lot of working, schooling. And then after that, I got a lot more involved in church and other stuff. So that also kept me busy. That I stopped coming home also.
Wow. So, what were the like major challenges that you remember uh, moving to US at that age, where like you felt like God heard your prayer, that you got freedom out of school, but then when you moved to college in the US, what were the major challenges, and how how different was it from what you imagined US would be like?
See, yeah, it was hard, and I think a lot of it had to do with even English, right? Like going from India to US and trying to speak English and trying to, act like you know English. That was one part of it. The only good part was when I joined 12th there. So I finished my okay, they call it high school there. And I finished my 12th there. I think I was like 50 out of 600 students or something. So this was
Oh.
like, it came from like being the last person in class to like this amazing person because like US is little behind when it comes to the grading of stuff. So, and it's like, it's do your homework, you get marks, attend school, you get marks. So a lot of that stuff, we're good at. You like to show up to class and all that. So that all helped. But I think, yeah, just the language was hard. Making friends was hard because, people have that. Uh, it's probably not a good time to talk about racism, but it was definitely there. And you'll be surprised by, I think every culture, every community has racist, Indians has a racist, African American has racist, like, so I grew up with that. But then it made it worse because I was working at that time. So, you didn't really get to hang out at school. It was like finish class, go to work, go to church, it just, uh, yeah, was one of those interesting periods of time that, uh, yeah, we made it though.
Yes, you did, and you made it well.
Wow, thanks.
Moving on to the next question would be that since I know you and the people know you like in and around know that you have this huge part of speaking about identity, uh,
Um,
showing people identity and their real identity in Christ and all. I really want
yeah.
to ask. Did you ever struggle with it? And did all that preaching and all that teaching, is it out of like just God's wisdom or out of little experience also?
So I'm a firm believer of God sends you through things. So you can get a revelation out of it and then you can help people out of it. So I definitely, identity is probably one of my biggest topics because that's probably that I struggled with most. Um, because like just growing up, right? Like it was different, right? Like you were in the Middle East, and all of a sudden you're in India. That you don't know anybody in India. You love love the life in Middle East. And then all of a sudden you're getting used to India, and then you're plucked out. You're in US or another country, and then you're trying to figure out how to speak, basic English, which you thought you knew, all this time. Because even at home, like we didn't speak that much Malayalam or anything. It's mostly English. We listened to a lot of English songs. Um, so yeah, definitely that is it. I think every area of my life has been hit with that. So yeah, definitely I've gone through things that has made me understand, what to depend on. Um, And like I had to find it for myself, So I guess part of the answer would be, I don't know if I'm taking too long, but I'll just keep going till you
No,
say
go ahead.
stop, right?
Go ahead.
I think part of the issue is like, like when you understand what you are made of and who made you and the God that you serve, uh, if you understand that, then you get to understand yourself better, Uh, it's going to be odd, like I just recently saw an ad of a fridge where it had nothing to do with the fridge. They're like, do you want to eat yogurt? And I'm like, yeah, why not? Like, and like it all ended up that this new fridge can make fresh yogurt, So I'm like, that defeats the purpose of that fridge, That's a good selling marketing tool, but a lot of us are like that, We look at God and we've made him a God of our parents. I did that for a long time. I'm a pastor's kid, so I went to church a lot of the times because my dad was a pastor, or I used to stand on their faith and just do things for God. And I was very passionate about it, but probably passionate for the wrong reasons, or passionate without knowing why I'm passionate, or not knowing the foundations. So like a fridge is meant to have a particular temperature so you can put things in it. It's not this yogurt machine or ice machine, or like those are all secondary things. So I think for me, I had to find that about God. And we had a very rough upbringing in the sense of when it came to finances. My dad lost his job and we came to India from Middle East. Uh, and when we came, we entered into this beautiful house, 3-bedroom house, and everybody was like, wow, just came from Middle East, loaded, and we were basically, there were days that we barely had money to eat food even. So we grew up in that, knowing the worth of having everything and not having everything, and people thinking that you have everything, because we went through that phase of selling one thing at a time. It started with mom's gold, and then started with the microwave, the oven, and it's like slowly you run out of things to sell, unless you sell yourself or something. So we went through that phase. So it was hard financially. Definitely, we went through a rough patch, but um, yeah, I still remember one time we were sitting for the meal, and we were trying to eat the rice, and we were like, "This smells bad," like. And like we were asking our parents, like what's wrong with the rice? Like, is it spoiled, or like what is wrong with it? So like we've been through those patches where we didn't have anything. Like we went from having enough to not having anything at all, and then God blessing us again. But I think out of everything, I had to come to a place of finding God for myself, uh, and that was hard. Um, Especially there was a 3-month period that I lost it, lost it completely, in the sense borderline atheist. I don't know what to call it, depression, all kinds of stuff. But that's where I actually found God, and that's after being in the church, serving the church, leading worship for 8 years nonstop,
Wow.
being in church probably every day. Yeah, so I found God because I went through that 3-month period of, is God even real? So yeah, sometimes it helps. I wouldn't recommend 3 months, but that's what helped me. So out of that places, I think I've kind of held on to anything that I can find about God, and then see why God would have created me for. Wow, long-winded answer.
No, it was beautiful to know that. But I want to know, even in that 3 months of like you being totally like with war with Jesus or not even bothering if Jesus is there, to how, like, what was the process when you came back, gave in, and realized about your identity and realized your worth? Like, I'm sure that things didn't go like superb in one night, and like you were not like a richy rich and everything got sorted. That's why you came back to God. I believe the lights have gone at Char's place. We'll wait for him to come back.
All right, just give it a minute. Sorry.
Yeah. Is it back?
I think the current is back. Okay, sorry. Ask the question
It's
again.
okay, Char. Yeah, so the question was, out of in this process of you going, I know that nothing was solved in one day, or even in 3 months. You didn't went to be like Richie Rich. Or if you did, then it's great. But if you didn't, like, how was the process, and when was it you actually came in realization and having such a strong foundation that about identity, about things that you never look back and you could motivate or you could speak into others people's life with same issues.
Yeah, so like music has definitely been part of my life, like since I knew it. We grew up in the church. We grew up in a CSI church. I don't know if people know what that is, but it's like an Anglican church. They go on choir and all that. So we grew up in that. Um, so music was always part. So especially even in that 3 months, I would basically go to work, do everything, but I would come home probably around 12 in the night, get up by 5 and leave. So I was pretty much just home to get a bed and then go, So that was my life that time. But even kind of music kind of helped me through that. Um, Sometimes not even Christian music, but we'll leave it that. But like there were songs that definitely ministered to me because at that time, like we're not thinking, what is the Chris Tomlin song that's gonna help you, like we just want to connect with something. Um, so like 3 months was this harsh reality of everything. I've been doing it for the wrong reason. Uh,
There is a delay. We'll wait for him. Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
all
Three
right.
months.
Yeah, 3 months were a harsh reality of what I was doing for God was out of a place of uh, not knowing God. I'm talking about leading worship to teaching Sunday school to being in committees and being the youth coordinator, like and doing TV stuff and all kinds of stuff, right? So, but like I had to come to that place of knowing that I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. Um, and when you do it for the wrong reasons, you get burned out. Uh, so that was happening for 3-4 months. In that process, um, we were thinking about getting married, and marriage whole scene was happening, and I was looking for a house. So during that time, our realtor was a Christian. She was like, "Where do you go to church?" I'm like, "Well, I used to go to church, not anymore. Just taking a break and all that." And she's like, "Why don't you come to my church this week? Just uh, in US they have these things called bring a friend." So she was like, "I'm gonna take you," and I was like, "Okay, maybe I can go sit in the back, listen to some songs, and just be done with this." That was the whole thing. I went in there, and that kind of trickled a lot of things that I ended up going to that church, becoming part of the worship team, leading in that church. It was a multicultural church. There was about 50 plus nations, 700 people. So God did something in that church that He brought me back in to knowing Him. So I don't think it was one moment. it started there, and definitely throughout the years. And I think I'm still learning. God's trying to teach me on identity, and I am kind of bent out of shape or very staunch about, like people getting to know who they are. Uh, so I've kind of made it my life's mission to do that as much as possible. So
That was beautifully put, and thank you for answering that. Now, my next question would be that you mentioned while speaking that you are a pastor's kid. So, I want to know is there any difference from other kids to pastor kids, or just pastor's kids exaggerate that? I'm a
oh
pastor
no.
kid, so okay. And what were the things that you went through, not just by your parents, but by the society and the people outside, just because you were a pastor's kid, or in your head, just because in the papa pastora. So, what all was there?
Yeah, so my parents didn't come to faith, like till later on. So we grew up in CSI church, like I said. Um, there, the politics is very less, like the politics is like, I need a spot at the choir team or something, like that's the worst thing could happen as far as politics. But when we came to faith, uh, and eventually my dad became a pastor, we started seeing a lot of things that questioned, are we in the right place? So especially when you're a pastor's kid, you see everything. There's tons of people coming home. There's tons of people calling. You see how people treat your dad. You know, you just see the entire culture, right? Like nothing is hidden from you. So you're not just going to church on a Sunday and coming back. Um, One of our first experiences in the faith was um, uh, the part of the churches or part of the church that we were part of. They asked us to start a branch church. So we were like part of a house church movement. And we were like, okay, we don't have money, but we have a house. We can definitely come and worship and go. So we started that. We were excited, and the whole point was people in that area would come to that church. So it was like 50, 60 people the first week, and then the next week, it was just four of us. It was just our family. Uh, you
Oh,
know, so yeah. So it was basically, someone decided in their infinite mind that it was good to disconnect us from the church completely. So like you grow up with stuff like that. You question everything about faith, everything about um, what it even means to be a Christian. Uh, if you say you're a believer, it's like double question. You're like, wait a minute, I've seen this before somewhere. So yeah, I grew up in church. I was very involved in church, irrespective of all of this. So I've seen more than things I should not have. So one thing is that you see all this thing. And then second, I think which hits the pastor's kid the most is that people have an expectation of you that is so unrealistic. It's okay if they do it, but your pastor's kid, you cannot, like, so you're held to a standard greater than God, kind of. Um, but yeah, so if you're a pastor's kid, good luck. No, not good luck. I just hope that I
yeah.
know where you're going. I know where you're going. You hope that you have some amazing parents that shield you from the noise, um, and try to show you that they at least put you in a place of safety, that that you are serving the right God, and people will just be people.
So true. I agree to most of it, and I can relate because I been and I am in the same shoes. That what hits the most that you can see everything.
Yeah, people think, oh yeah, people think, like kids are so innocent. They're just playing, they're not saying anything. Oh no, If you want to know the real stories inside the church, ask the kids. They'll tell you when the fight began it, who threw the chili powder. No, I'm just kidding. You know.
That actually is very true because as far as I grew up, I remember my childhood as like always I remember there was prayer, people for prayer in the house. Like even
Mm,
if I go back to like when I was 3 or 4, it's never changing. And the part that you have mentioned of expectation to being like another level,
yeah.
and so many people come to me, and I know go to so many pastors' kid and say, "Pastor makkalalle, pastor's kid, you are not supposed to do this. It's for the world."
See, being a pastor's kid itself is going to cause an identity crisis, but that's a subject for another day.
Yeah, so we can talk about that someday.
Someday later.
Uh, yeah. So I also, okay, going on that line, you even mentioned that you started leading worship, singing, playing at a very young age, and that everybody knows. If doesn't, you have like spoken about it. So now everybody knows that you started leading worship, being a part of the choir, playing instruments, like from very little age.
Mhm.
I want to ask you that when was that time when you were not singing or you were not just playing instrument, but you were actually leading worship from inside of you?
Well, unfortunately, that was it took a long time to get to that place. One of the things that helped me was not even a church setting. What taught me how to worship was a small home group. I mean, we didn't even call it a home group. It was just three families. We decided we want to come together and pray and worship. So that place was like I was the only one who knew how to play a little bit guitar and sing. Um, and like we went from 15 minutes of worship, to like stop worship and God tells you to stop worship. So I had to figure out what worship looked like, because have these words, you have this verse one, chorus, verse two, chorus, bridge, clap hands, we're done. Um, yeah, I had to pretty much figure out by that time that, worship is more than the structure that someone has put in a song. So I think that experience kind of helped me. That's the first time that I even remember new songs coming out. Like one new song that came out, "The Power of the Cross is Real." I don't think I've ever done it. That was the first song that came out, and they were like, "Oh, who sings this? We want to hear it." And I'm like, "Okay, it's not there." Trying to be this humble guy, but like God slowly started showing that He has words that He wants to give in worship, and it's worship is not just a moment that is pre-recorded, pre-practiced. There's something God does in worship right there, right now, and it is God always wants to do something for the moment. Uh,
Yes.
and I'm not saying for the worshipers don't have a set list, don't know what you're going to do. I always have a set list, but I definitely got to that place where if God asks me to do something, if God is giving me words or a melody, I'm not afraid to uh, say it out, speak it out, sing it out. But that everything needs practice, right? Like, um, yeah. So I don't know if that makes sense. Like, a lot of people like, oh, I love spontaneous. I want to do that too. Like, um, actually, even for spontaneous, you have to practice it. You know, it's kind of an oxymoron, but you have to practice being spontaneous in the presence of God so you can be spontaneous, you know. Um, yeah, so it's learning those. I think that small group of people, you know, there was like less than 10 of us sitting in a room and just singing our hearts out. That's where I actually learned about worship. It's not even in a church setting, which is very unfortunate to say. Yeah.
Thank you, but like I would say that house groups and small gatherings are like bliss. I always love that. I
Yeah.
guess it's some pastors keep saying that they don't want to see church. But having said all that question, I also want to ask in the same line, how was it when God ruined your set list for the first time? Like you prepared
Well,
the set list and got like nothing, none of this.
um, it hasn't happened a lot of times. So like
First time.
this is my first experience was in church. Uh, so this church that I was part of, like it's pretty, you know, 1.5 hour service, so it's pretty structured, organized. So there was a moment in time that I had to step into lead worship. Um, and then it was like 15 minutes, you know, like you're done, pastor comes up, take offering, announcements, go into the word. It's like, you know, amazing. So like during that time, God starts, you know, like what was happening in the life group, the home group that we were part of, it started coming out as worship, spontaneous things. And I wouldn't change the entire set list, but like I would start adding and just getting people into that flow. And unfortunately, have been rebuked for it. You know,
Oh,
it's like, yeah, can we stick to the structure? You know, like so. That's when I started. I was like, okay, God is, you know, messing. Like He wants me to go into a different direction. And
God is missing.
all right, it's interesting. Like, how do you serve? How do you honor your leadership and yet honor God at the same time? So that was a definitely an interesting journey. But that's when it all kind of started getting to a place where worship started being uncomfortable because you have to listen to the voice of man and then you have to listen to the voice of God.
God.
And you're like, okay, someone else just do this, you know? Like, yeah. So that's probably the first time it started. Um,
That's nice. That's a nice way to start, and I'm glad that God did that with you. But
yes.
now on the next question would be, no, like we'll take a little break from church and leading worship and
Amen.
all that part, and I want to ask you about your love story. How did you met your beautiful, beautiful, adorable wife? How was it? Was it a love marriage, arranged marriage? Like your parents decided and you said, okay, acha, okay, amma, I'll marry your choice. Or there was like some nice love story blooming.
I think a lot of people just joined just to hear this part. Um, I guess a mix of all of it. So we did go to the same church. So we grew up in the same church in the States. We were part of the same church. Um, but yeah, my story is not going to change. So it's the story that I've been telling everybody, right? Uh, Everybody's like, yeah, let's do it. We grew up in the same church. We were good family friends. Yeah, went to the same church, all of that. There was no love at first sight. There was no butterflies. There was no, I will marry you. There was no, you know, this is the one. Nothing like that. So I think we were in the same church for 8 years. And then my wife went out of state to work. Um, and then after all of that, we would talk once in a while, just check up on her. And then one day I felt like God was saying, this is the one. So this is my amazing way I spoke to her about this on the phone. See, it has to be non-conventional. So I spoke to her on the phone. I said, I think it's you. You should probably pray about it. Get back to me, and
Seriously?
yep, that was it. So I hung up the phone and she called me the next day morning and she's like, did you just say what I think you said last night? I think she was half sleepy also when I called. And I was like, yeah, I think, yeah, pray about it. If you feel peace about it, then we'll talk to our parents and then figure it out. So uh, that's what happened. Yeah. So after 8 years and all of this, one day God speaks, says, this is the one. Talk to her, ask her to pray about it. When she had some peace about it, then we told our parents. And we waited for a few years to get their blessing, and then we got married.
Oh, so it wasn't like that easy.
Oh no, there was nothing easy about it. Definitely the
But
wait
it was
wasn't.
supposed to be enough because you guys knew each other for so long.
See, we grew up in the same church, went to the same church, but I didn't know anything about her also. Like in that sense, like we would see on a Sunday. We would do like stuff together, like youth groups, Sunday school, and all that kind of stuff. But we didn't know each other. This is again an Indian church in US, which sometimes is little more stricter than the Indian church in
Then
India.
you start.
so, so it was this
So,
holy living, and you just see them in church, say hi, bye. If you come close to them, then aunties and uncles start praying for you and casting out demons and stuff. So, but anyway, so we were that, and then one day when I felt like God was speaking to me, I asked her, told her to pray about it, told our parents, and then 3.5 years later, three and a half years later, we got married. Yeah. We didn't even have an engagement. We went directly into marriage because it was a long wait.
what was the wait? I want to know. You have to like break it.
Um, First of all, our siblings wasn't married at that time. So
Okay.
my sibling wasn't married. Her sibling wasn't married. I mean, like Ronnie wasn't married. Ray was married at that time. So especially in our Malu culture, it has to
You
go
can't get
from top to
married.
bottom. Like otherwise, there's a curse on the family or something. Uh, uh, are you still there?
Yes, I am. So I want to ask that Ronita got
Yeah.
married and then you got.
Yes. Yeah. So I had to wait for him to get married. But even that, right? Like we had to wait for our parents to feel the peace about it. So we kind of left them alone to get the peace from God. And I think that was one part that we were kind of adamant on, that, we want their blessing to get married. So kind of stayed on that road. Wasn't easy. There were even times where I was like, you know what, I think this is going to take a while or might not happen. You should think about getting married or do something with your life. So even that kind of conversation happened in between. But God is good.
God is indeed good, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you waited, Chechi waited, and like this happened because
Yeah.
you guys are meant to be together, and God did good when He thought of you two together.
Wow. Thank you.
Nice. Okay, moving on to the next question. I want to ask you, were you always this person who were like you started being in ministry? So were you always like till date was in ministry, or was there a time that you were actually working in a secular field or in a firm or a company or something?
So yeah, after I studied for electrical engineering in US, and then um, while I was in my fourth year of college, I started working in this company um, that soon became part of Nokia. So that's kind of how I started working. And I actually got a full-time job before I finished my school. Because again, school was like the second thing, you know. It's like,
Last
so
thing.
I was like, last thing, I still had 6 months, and I still remember my boss was asking me, like, you sure? Like, you're going to do this and that? I was like, yeah, why not? You know, I only had a couple more classes left. So I was like, I'll get both done. So yeah, I worked for a company that soon became part of Nokia. So I was in the software field, and from Nokia, we got bought by Microsoft. Um, and then we were about to get bought out by BMW uh, when, and I had an offer letter in my hand when we decided to move to India. So that is a small version of it. But yeah, I definitely used to work, enjoyed working. Yeah, I had this. Yeah, I miss it sometimes, the tech part of things and not being able to do that. But and even a little bit of travel. Yeah, we used to travel quite a bit that time.
Wow, nice.
Yeah,
So, as you said that you did work with Microsoft, it was happening to be BMW. So, it was Microsoft, you were with them. So, was it easy living? I believe that is a good job, getting a job in the US in Microsoft like
good.
you. It
It's
is
good.
good.
Trust me, it's good.
So, how easy or hard was it to move with Chechi? Now that you had married, you were not like a bachelor, you had a responsibility also of her with you. How hard or easy was it to like just pack your bag and move to India?
Fun question. So I think 1 year before we moved, I started getting uneasy with my work. In fact, there was 6 months where I didn't do anything and got paid. I know for some of you that's like, wow, you know, like that's the kind of job I want to have. You know, but like, trust me, after a month, I went to my boss and I was like, there's only so many things you can Google in a day. Please get me something to do, you know? Because it was like a transition period between Nokia, Microsoft, and even from Microsoft into BMW. There was a lot of unknown things, projects getting canceled, people getting moved around, all this kind of stuff happening. Um, so like for 1 year, like I was very uncomfortable at work. You know, checks is not uncomfortable. Check was really good, but I'm one of those people, you know, that cannot sit idle. Um, so like it was very uncomfortable. And even when we had projects, you know, that joy of fulfillment from work also disappeared, you know, into thin air. You know, like I was driven by projects. I was driven by doing things. You know, I would jump teams every 6 months, or more often than that. I'll find ways to create projects. So all kinds of fun stuff that I used to do. But you know, like, and I had the favor from my bosses, so I was able to switch teams when I wanted, even roles, positions. I've done all kinds of stuff, which I'm not even studied for, basically. So like that kind of favor was there, and got to a place where work was like, you know, it's like being in hell. You know, you're getting paid, but you know, it's like there's no satisfaction in life. You know, so oh Lord, uh, okay, we're still here. So that was the starting of my journey, thinking that okay, God wants to do something new. Um, and I would think about everything possible from going and applying to a new job, going to a different location, whatever. Even to at a point in time, I was like, you know, maybe I should look into worship leading, worship pastor as a position. You know, maybe that's where I'll get fulfilled because that's like serving and, you know, kind of it meets your needs kind of thing. So 1 year I went like that. That time Chechi was carrying Grace, our firstborn. Um, so she had taken a break from work for the pregnancy. And she comes up with this brilliant idea during that time that I feel like God is calling us to go now. So I was like, yep, that makes sense. Like, so we were having our first child, and God is telling us, okay, now it's time for you to step out into what I'm calling you to do. So like there was a lot of complications even with Grace. Her birth itself is a miracle story. And even a lot of things that happened after that. There were a lot of complications, and then stepping into something without a job, without health insurance in US is a big thing. If you don't have it, like I believe Grace's bill for when she was born, she was in the ICU for a week when she was born. Her bill just for that 1 week was around 35 to 40 lakhs. Yeah, so if you don't have a job, it's like sell your kidneys, eyes, something, heart. So that's the time God's telling us, time to move out. So it was definitely an interesting timing, but I think God had made us so uncomfortable where we are, that we were ready for being comfortable in a place where God has called us to be. Like so that was kind of money. Yeah, definitely. Your parents. You think about money. You think about your kids. You think about uh, the kind of education and everything that they'll receive in a foreign land. But at the end of the day, I think we had enough experience with God to know that He's going to take care of us. So yeah, it wasn't very see, it wasn't a hard decision in a lot of ways because a lot of people have been telling us. But it was a hard decision in a way that now we have to actually trust in God. Sometimes when you have a job, you trust in God, but you trust in the paycheck also. um, you're like, I live by faith, God is providing, and then you don't see a check, you're like, I live by faith, God better come through. So yeah, but I think even my growing up with going from having to having nothing, like we knew one thing, that God would take care of us. So I think that was the only thing that we held on to, and we said, let's do this. So
Wow.
Grace was 9 months when we moved to India. Yeah, the small baby that
And
was allergic to a bunch of stuff. Yeah, even she was, yeah, even after coming to India, she's gone through a couple episodes of being in hospital beds and all that. But God's been good. Yeah.
wow,
Yes.
that thank you for saying yes. I know it wasn't easy. I know there are a lot of people who comes and say that thank you for moving to India, like if you wouldn't have taken this step. But like when you are in the shoes and when you have a newborn baby, you have a wife and you have to leave the job and just step out of a country for and come back with nothing at all and not knowing what to expect. Oh, with a baby and a child, it's not at all easy, but thank you for doing that. It was hard, but you did it. And it changed so
Abdel,
many
I think
lives.
you're starting to cut.
Okay, so we have to anyway end this video here because we are almost nearing 1 hour. So we'll switch into another video and then continue.
All right, works.
Perfect?
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything before. Sorry, I had to cut and come back in.
It's okay. You can hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So coming to the second last question would be,
Second
uh,
last question.
yes, with the second
Wow.
last guest of Tales to Testimony people.
Wow.
So, if the people don't know, and I know the people who know you, more than loving you or Chichi, they love and adore your kids. So, Robin Cha and Lino Chichi have created this amazing, amazing babies.
Did you
Well,
say
like one
created?
of, yes, in a way you did.
Wow.
You keep so the amazing, amazing baby. And these two are like one of my favorite kids in the world. And anybody who even sees them for the first time would know they're so beautiful. And you like no anybody can sit with them, no matter the age. There's no restraint. So I want to ask regarding the kids. You, Grace, and Jamaya are the most disciplined kid of the age that they are that I have come across.
Oh
I'll
no.
tell you why. Because they are, I'm not seeing you guys putting them to a lot of screens, and I have seen them being creators. Like they have a paper and a pen and not a phone with them, and they're drawing something, making clay and all. And they are so well spoken, sweet, genuine, and generosity in everything. Like Grace will come ahead and like ask you things and would love to help you. And so with Jeremiah, so I know a big portion of credit goes to Chechi for this.
Of course.
But I also want to ask as a father or as a couple, like I know it's not like they were just like born like that. There has been efforts and you have been nurturing them in a way. So I want to know how you guys did it and how, like as a father, that you did the part that you did in bringing up such amazing kids, which doesn't happen in this generation.
Well, that's a very loaded question. So I guess one thing that we probably, the best thing that we've ever done is not to have a TV at home. So we don't have a TV. It's not like we're like anti-TV or something. We just don't have a TV. So if they want to watch something, then like, we only let them watch particular timing, particular hour, so we try to keep it limited. So I think even in the house, that has kind of helped, where they're not stuck to the phones, and they're they still do their things that kids do. They still play, but it's okay. Like let them grow up in a culture, like in an environment where worship is happening. Everything is happening around them, and yet they can be who they are meant to be for this age. So a lot of credit definitely goes to my wife. Um, and when it comes to discipline, strict and all, I don't know. We're still trying to figure it out. There are times even now where like, God help us, we're not doing it right. So we definitely have those moments, even though you look at it and you're like, yeah, this is amazing. But there are definitely times that, we're always asking God how to take care of them, handle them, not handle them. Uh, you know, because, yeah, definitely, we're Indians, so we don't spare the rod. Uh, we want to be all. But yeah, definitely, I think just trying to do what we can with. Um, See, some of it is challenging, right? Like we see a lot of different people. People have an expectation again. I've had people that didn't have kids also come and say, oh, you shouldn't take care of your kids like this. It should be this way. Um, but I read this verse in the Bible. What do sow you reap. So I'm just waiting for the time to reap when they sow. So like you have all this, right? Like people have expectations of you. People look at you, and especially when you are put on a platform, or people, feel like you have some holy genes given directly from God. You know, people have extra expectations of you and your kid, the way that they should behave. But I think we are definitely it's helped to be in an environment of a lot of youngsters that they care less of the strictness versus you know yeah. But people have expectations. That's okay. But I think yeah, we just get up every day and try to do the best we can as parents, and try not to make the mistakes that maybe that we have seen or experienced in our life.
Wow. So, like, are there like list of things that you said that this we'll not say to our children, or this that we'll make sure that we say to our children like on a daily basis?
Oh no. Yeah, we probably should have a list, but no, we don't. Nothing like that. Um, yeah, we just, I mean, there are definitely times that we say things and, we call them back and we're like, okay, we are sorry for saying that. But so there are definitely times like that. There are definitely uh, times that I think, yeah, any kind of positive enforcement helps. Um, but that doesn't mean that, you shouldn't be strict also. I think, yeah, people have their definitions of strict and love and all that. But yeah, you do best with what you have, and you pray that you're doing the right things. You try to raise them in a way that hopefully glorifies God and sets them in a place where they won't look back and say, we wasted our young days, or it was horrible, So having two kids help. They at least get to play with each other and be kids and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they're doing good. But our expectations of them are high also, right? Like you're a parent at the end of the day, right? Like some people don't get me for this. I'll just say it in the life, like when you love someone, really, you have an high expectation of them, like expectation in the sense of not, you should do something that I want to do. It's like expectation of who God has created you to be. So you have that expectation. I have that expectation with my kids. I have that expectation with the ones that are really close to my heart. If I don't have any expectations, it's probably because I will put you in my outer circle. See,
And the
secrets are
word
coming
has
out.
been spoken.
Praise God.
Yes, people now you know if Cha is not bothering you, why is it, which circle you stand in, and if he is bothering you, which circle you stand in. Okay, coming to the last question and a little uh, serious question would be being a missionary, coming to a land from US, having a job and everything, coming to this land and starting as a missionary, and all these years that you have been in India. I would want to know how was it when you know you're completely depending on God for every day, for every week, for every month, like for your kids, for your family, for everything. Being dependent on this God always and for everything. Like you don't have any charge on yourself. Like if I am working, I know on the first or the second I'll get salary, I'll pay this, I'll pay that. But how does it work for you being a missionary?
It's the same way you look to God, we look to God, like I guess um, like the truth is right, provision comes from God, right? So when you work, it comes from God. When you don't work, if He's asked you not to be in such a, like if He's like, for example, He asked me to step out of my job, uh, it's with the assurance that He's going to take care of me. So I believe that provision comes from God, whether you work or don't work. Um, and like we have seen that the last 5 years, we have, so many stories of God coming through. Uh, and uh, and I'll tell you a little secret, and the secret is giving. So if you guys can learn to give while you have it, while you're working, God will make sure He gives to you even when you don't work. And even in the last 5 years, we have given sometimes more than we get because we have that assurance of who God is. Like we have never doubted God when it comes to giving. That's one area of our life that we are very sure about. If God speaks, whoever it is, whatever amount it is, when God speaks, like like Linu and I, like that we've been blessed in our marriage. Someone asked me this question, like there was never been a fight about finances, because we are on the same thread, even before marriage, during marriage, even now without a job. Like we're just on the same line that when we look at each other, we already know what, like we're like, yeah, you want to give, right? Yeah. And the question is only how much, it's not whether we should give or not. Let's pray about it. Usually, like even that is not a question for us. Like most of the time, we are on the same page. So like even now we have, I would say giving is the biggest thing. We even, not in some massive big way or something. We still support missionaries while we are missionaries. Like so our heart is to see God get us to a place where we can take care of missionaries while being a missionary, and God can do it. God can do
And
it.
he did it.
Yeah, last 5 years, like no paychecks, no handouts, but I think, yeah, there's nothing for us to even come close to saying, God didn't take care of us. Um, Even when we travel, like we've seen, God move in so many incredible ways. We went to US um, last September.
Last year.
Yeah, last year September, and like zero meetings, right? Like, and so I mean, traveling itself is expensive for four of us, and then uh, so I remember one place we went to, and we are like, we're coming for 3 weeks, and they're like, oh wow, 3 weeks, you have a lot of meetings, huh? I was like, no, we're just coming to your house, we'll figure out when we come there. Like we know when God tells us to do certain things, and we just do it. And even in this trip to US, there was not a single Sunday that we were not ministering unless we decided not to minister. Like, so God's hand has always been on us. Uh, and yeah, you can't go wrong with giving. Like,
Never.
never go wrong. So give to God when you can. When I say when you can, I'm saying when you're at work. Don't hold back. Um, And then if God calls you into ministry or God calls you into a season of not working, He's definitely going to prepare people that will invest into your life. Because we have done that before we stepped out. So we are experiencing the fruits of the seed that we sow while we were working. Like, so we worked for 8 years, and sowed plenty, plenty, plenty. Even that's one of the things that we asked God when He asked us to step out into ministry. We're like, who's going to give to all these people? We're giving a lot, as if God is less on resources or something, you know. But like that 8 years of giving, and even before our marriage, the giving, God is sustaining us, and we know He can sustain us for our generation, not just for us. So when it comes to finances, that's one area that we are very secure on. I think the other area is trusting God. I think mostly we deal with a lot of, are we being fruitful where we are? Are we doing what God has called us to be? Because we came to India thinking we're coming to lead worship. We didn't come as missionaries, preachers, and start something online. Nothing of this. We just wanted to come, be in the house, help with worship, and oh my God, my worship was terrible even then. All right, so it's got better, right? So like whatever we had, we thought we're just coming with that and going to help, but God has blown us away with His faithfulness. Yeah, there's nothing to complain about. Yeah, God's been good.
And He'll continue to be good, because He's
Amen.
been flowing so well, and people have been testimony of it. And thank you for doing this, and thank you for answering all the questions.
That's
Uh,
it. We're done.
yes, yes. But there are more sections to
Oh,
it. But we're just with the serious questions we are done.
I was going to give everyone else a hard time for taking more than 2 hours. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so now we move on to the rapid fire. Okay, so
Oh
it's
no.
question that you have to be like really quick about. Okay, so quick എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ quick.
See, the problem is you're going to ask me a question. I'm going to first think who asked you that question. And
No,
then
these are rapid fire. I only prepared it.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's fine.
നമുക്ക്
Then
കാണാം പിന്നെ.
I have to go find them after this live.
Okay. Question one, okay?
Yeah.
One assumption or rumor that you have heard about yourself which is not true.
Oh, that I'm very serious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I
Okay.
can be
Second.
serious, but I'm not serious all the time. I'm
Okay.
serious when it needs to be serious.
Cha.
Oh, sorry, it's a rapid fire. Sorry. Go ahead.
One word you excessively use.
One word I excessively use. All right.
All right. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Somebody
What was
counted
the
it one time.
Really?
Somebody counted it 42 times one time and then they stopped because it was just too many times.
Wow. Okay.
It was,
Already.
it was an intern. I'm just saying the love that you show me. It's amazing. Go ahead. Continue.
Okay. Third question would be, what was the last dream you remember, and tell us about it.
Oh no. Last dream was for somebody else, so I don't know if I want to share that.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was for someone else. It had to do with how God was going to give them something, and they had a choice between being a king like Saul or being a king like David. Something that lasts for a short time or something that lasted for a long time. Yeah, and it was like I felt like God was giving this short window of what you're going to do with this time, and you decide what you want to do after that. So yeah, it was for somebody else, not even for me. That's what God does. He doesn't. Yeah. Anyways, it's for someone else. Yeah.
But we'll take it. We'll take it. People, if you want to take it, you're free to take it. Which king you
Yeah.
want to be like?
You can be a king like Saul or be a king like David. Both are anointed. Both are called to be a king. But at the end of the day, God looks at the character and chooses whether he sees you as a Saul or he sees you as a David. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So on this, I want to say that your anointing can take you to a place, but your character can only sustain you there.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, next question. One injury from your childhood which you remember about?
One injury. Yeah, when I was really young, I got hit by a bicycle, and that's this mark here. Yeah, I was that short. So the guy was driving so fast or cycling so fast cycling so fast. He hit me and he went for a kilometer, I think, and then he came back and he said sorry. He said my brakes weren't working. So yeah, I still remember that because I had to get
Oh, he
stitches.
went. Oh,
Yeah, so I still have that mark somewhere. Yeah.
oh. But the guy came back and said sorry, cha.
Yeah, he must. Yeah, I don't think he was a Christian. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Next question would be a day in your life looks like.
A day in my life. Oh Lord, my days are different every day. It depends on what's happening. But right now, a day in my life looks like I might sleep around 10, 11, get up by 4, 5, and I do things that I need to do. Yeah, prepare, whatever. Sometimes I go back to sleep around 12, 1, then get up by 4. Uh, but yeah, it depends on what's happening. So uh, face-to-face people are night owls in general, so we like the nights.
Okay. So the next question would be if you were to be left in a jungle for a night and
Oh
you
no.
could only pick one person to spend the night with in between Recha and Ronicha, whom would you pick to spend the night in the jungle with?
Is neither an option?
No, you have to pick one of your brother.
Recha would be cracking some stupid jokes, and my other brother would not be saying anything at all. So I don't know which one to pick. Um,
You have to pick one.
yeah, I guess I'll pick Ronnie because at least he'll give me time to think by not saying anything. There'll be
Nice.
sanity.
Okay,
By the way,
okay, so
he's very quiet. Our other brother is like the opposite of Ray and me in the extreme. So he's like the very quiet guy. God bless him.
that's why you don't see him anywhere on the surface.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so the last question of rapid fire would be tell me about three worship postures that you do and are your like go-to trademark when you're off the stage
When I'm
and do
off the
it.
stage, um, sometimes this, sometimes yeah, I lift my hand. I like this a lot for some reason. Yeah, there's a three.
Okay, so now is the time that we show some good pictures of you. So it's
Oh
called the
Lord.
photo flashback. So you have to tell me what is the photo about and why and how. Like with you, like there are pictures, good pictures and cute pictures. I couldn't find much of funny pictures of you. Like if I could get this as a picture that you did that, would have been good. But tell us about this and I'll just turn my camera and you can tell us about this one.
Oh Lord. That's I believe that was our first anniversary. We're on a restaurant that's on the 65th floor in downtown
Oh,
Chicago. Beautiful view. Uh, I was, like you can tell, I was in ministry then because I still had all the hair. Um, and yeah, so it's from that time. It was it was a date with the Miss Lino, Mrs. Lino, Mrs. William, Mrs. Lino, William, yeah, something like that.
yeah.
But it was
Okay.
beautiful. You can see the entire Chicago from that.
Okay. Okay, people, can you see Chicago? Go see, visit. Okay, now tell me about this picture. I love this next picture, so tell me about this.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that would be our wedding day. So we decided to go somewhere in between suit and somewhere in between being all traditional. Yeah, so I decided to, I don't know what you call it, narrow suit or something. Yeah, so this is our wedding day. Yeah, it was. Um, our wedding was 30 minutes. Praise God.
What? What?
Yeah. Yeah. Our wedding was, okay, hold on. Our wedding was 30 to 45 minutes and included a 20 to 25 minutes worship. Uh, that's why you should invite a white pastor to do your wedding. So
Oh
we
my
invite.
God.
I invited the pastor of my church that I was part of at that time to uh, preach, and I asked one person to come and lead worship, and he brought the entire church band, and it was amazing. Um, and I sang that day. Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, that's our wedding day.
I I just want to know, on your wedding day, you guys had salad?
It's US day. That's
Acha.
so it's yeah. You don't only eat salad. So usually Indians in US they go for weddings, so they eat salad, they eat all the stuff, and then they go out and then they go have a burger because you never
What?
like you feel hungry after eating, who eats leaves, anyways, yeah, so most of the
In
times,
Indian weddings, we only go for the food.
yeah, US is not like that, right? So they give you salad, they give you soup, and then they give you a small piece of chicken that even, Jeremiah is going to ask for more chicken after that. So we usually have all of that, and then we go out and then we are like, okay, let's have a burger and feel better about this. So yeah, so that was the first entree or first dish in the whole thing.
Together. Okay. Now tell me about this one.
Whoa. I don't know where that was. Probably in Kerala somewhere. Yeah, I know the picture, but I don't know the exact time we took it.
What
So I
was
don't
JJ's
recall.
reaction? Put my daughter down.
Oh yeah, she had a lot of that. So I was very lot more wild with Grace. She loves it. She loves going up and all that. On the other hand, Jeremiah, it's like this, he will pee before he comes down if you do that. So I'd say Grace is more in for adventure than Jeremiah is. Yeah,
Nice. Okay.
she loves
Tell me
heights.
about this one.
Oh no. Uh, Lord, where was this? Hyderabad or Guntur? I want to say Hyderabad. Uh, yeah, just trying to be goofy, but it's not my hat. That's not my style. My style is just here. I just keep it simple.
Okay.
If at all, I want to do something special is have some diamond studs. But anyways, oh, this is
What?
at the nothing.
It,
Go back. That is in the house. I didn't sleep off. I was just closing my eyes. Um, yeah, just sitting in the back listening to. I want to say it's an audience of what? One of those, yeah. But yeah, I'm not sleeping, so just closing my eyes. And good thing is that I'm holding on to my kid, so I'm not sleeping.
uh, th thank God you at least mentioned that. I thought you didn't even notice Jeremiah what?
But I mean, if he falls, how far can he fall from the sofa? It's not that much.
Sure. Okay. Tell me about this picture.
Whoa, this is in. Okay, Ronald has to help me. It's close to Guntur. We went to a church on a Sunday morning in the middle of nowhere. They had a building with no fans, no floors, no windows, no doors. But we had an amazing time of ministry. This was with Ross, Sandeep from Hyderabad was there. Yeah, Cherella Beach. Who else was there? Abhishek, I think, was there. So yeah, and then there was a beach right next to the place that we went. Uh, So we went to just see that from the, like, yeah, we didn't do anything fun, just go see it, take a couple pictures. And
I
yeah,
didn't
like,
knew you like taking selfies.
I actually don't, but yeah, sometimes I do. So yeah, I typically don't wear a kurta and go to the beach. Yeah, I know why you asked the question. So this was after the meeting, so and it poured after that. We got out of there and we couldn't see the road. It was that bad. Yeah, I don't know how we got back home.
Okay, now we move on to the last picture, which is again one of my favorite. So tell me about this.
Well, this is one of the sores. Yeah, there's nothing to say about sore. I mean, we have too many sores. One of the sores, and I was leading worship. I think this was ministry time. We were leading worship, and Cha came and put his head, and I wasn't sure if he was if he was having a time with God or God told him to do it. I have no clue why he did that, but so since I was leading worship, I just continued leading worship, closing my eyes. Yeah,
So
so I
both of
don't
you are
know.
not sleeping on the stage.
Definitely not. He might have slept off. Cha can sleep very fast, by the way.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, so he might have, but no, I wasn't sleeping. But I have
Nice.
no clue why he did that. But yeah, there's always a reason.
You, you never
Yeah.
asked?
No, we don't talk about stuff like that.
Okay, cool enough. So that was fun. Thank you for being raw with your pictures. You had some beautiful pictures there. Now I
Wow.
want, we come to the
I'm
last session.
I'm glad you
Section
didn't find
of,
any bad pictures. That's good.
oh, I tried, but you hid it
Yes,
well.
yes, yes, yes. I was afraid of what, but it's fine.
Hmm.
Cool.
Okay. So now comes to the last part where people have made assumptions about you and you have to tell if these assumptions are true or not.
Can I record this
Okay.
part? I need to refer back to this.
It'll be up on YouTube, so you can go watch it
Okay.
anytime.
All right. People, I'm coming for
Okay.
you.
Okay. First assumption is he's an American.
Um, if I had a choice, I would be an African.
Okay.
Uh,
So,
but I'm a mix of African, Indian, Middle Eastern, and American.
okay. So, assumptions part, forgot to mention, you just have to tell us if this assumption is true or false about you.
Oh, okay. I don't get to explain,
Okay.
huh? Okay, never mind.
No, no clarification.
Am I an American? False, true. Yeah, somewhere. You need to give at least three
Okay.
options.
False or true, there's no middle part.
Okay.
Okay. Second, he is a foodie.
Yes, depends on the food. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Third, third, I don't know why people think this of you. He used to be a gangster in his teenage.
False. If I
Next.
if I stayed in India before God took me to US, I might have become a gangster, but God saved me from that.
Okay. Next is he is strict.
You need I can't just say one answer, right? Like it's I think I answered it before. If I love you, yes. If I don't love you, no.
Okay. Okay. Next assumption about you is selflessly you can go to any extent when you call somebody your own or part of your family. You can go any extent to help them or be with them. True or false?
True, I try to. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Next question is somebody have asked, is Ray Williams' blood brother?
No, I believe I was adopted or he was adopted. We're still trying to sort that out. We haven't done our DNA testing yet, but yes, we grew up together in the same household. But we both are so different that, yeah. So yeah, that's yes and yes and yes and no.
Okay. Last assumption about you is when alone, he likes to dance out loud.
False.
Okay, that was all the assumptions that people
I
made about you.
I dance in my heart. That's it.
Oh, wow. To dance in your heart. I guess Jesus is the only one enjoying it.
That's all that matters. Come on, speaking truth there.
Yes. Yes,
See
you
my
are. And you spoke so much of truth throughout this interview. And and I am so glad you did. And thank you for being so raw and real. There's so much that I take back from this interview and this interaction with you. It was such a beautiful time. And thank you for saying yes, coming, being a part of it. And before we end, is there anything that you want to say?
yeah, I guess for everyone that's watching, first of all, thank you for having me. You had like some amazing people like on this, and I was like, wow, why am I even on it? But thank you for having me. I haven't watched all of them, but the ones I watched and were watching live, they were amazing. So thank you for doing this. And for the people out there, I would say, you know, I guess through all these episodes, you're kind of trying to get you see a picture of people that you think have everything together. They don't actually. So I, I hope that that is what God teaches you, that we don't always have it together, and yet we depend on God. And I pray, especially for our generation, that we would, go from depending on these mighty men and women of God and, anointed and, you know, for the wrong reasons, maybe even like we'll stop depending on uh, people of God, just like you and me. Maybe they have a platform now, but, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I pray that all of us would look to God, and especially ministers and people that have a platform would point everyone else to God and not their ministries, not their platforms. So I pray that I see that happening through what you're doing. I think, all right, so that's for the people. I think for you, I think you're doing an amazing job. I see you even helping people that are coming on to see a part of who they are. Sometimes when you don't speak out things, you don't sometimes see the history, where God has taken you through, what you come through. So it's beautiful. I have to say this. So I think the prophetic nature in you, right, like can be seen even in your questions. So uh, proud of you. Keep doing it. Keep, lifting God through this, and I'm glad that you're doing this for people, that they get to see real human beings, and not somebody that's just speaking in fire on stage on a Sunday morning. That people get to see real people, real lives, real struggles, and yeah. So that is what life is about. At the end of the day, if you don't have Jesus, you don't have anything. It doesn't matter who your mentor is. It doesn't matter who your spiritual father is. If you don't have Jesus, you don't have anything. So yeah, so amazing job, Prophet Abdullah. I won't call you the other name. Yeah, so keep it going.
Huh. Thank
All
you,
right, I
Cha.
think.
What you said is true. If you don't have Jesus, you don't have anything. And doing of all of this purpose and all of the stories coming ahead. We're done with 12 episodes, including today's. It's about like, even when the people on stage doesn't have all of it together, it is God who have made them there and kept them together, glued in Him. So thank you, Cha, once again. Not for all the tarif, but even with the tarif, I still love you little.
I love you a little less.
And that will stay the same. And thank you, people, for watching. It was the second last episode, and it was so special. And we'll see you next Monday for the very last episode of this season of Tales to Testimony.
Whoa.
And thank you for joining it and being a part. This is Tales to Testimony, where we share real humans, real hearts, and real stories. I'll see you next Monday. God bless you. Good night. Bye.
God bless.